like I said, we're going to go back to Job, and I'm going to read out of another translation. I've got the King James with me, which we're all familiar with. I'm going to start in verse 2, and we'll see how far we get. And Reggie, don't let me run over. Given here, saints, another day came when the sons of Yah came to serve Yah. And among them came the adversary to serve Yah. Serve Yah. Now, a lot of us, we know Job backwards and forwards. We've had it preached. Some of us have done an in-depth study. But if it was mostly with the King James, you didn't hear to serve. You didn't hear to serve. You heard where the sons of God came to present themselves before the Most High, and along with them came the adversary. And we've heard that for years, and very few of us have actually said, well, wait a minute, hold it. If the Most High is present and the sons of the Most High came to present themselves and the adversary came with them, why didn't God just pick up a lightning bolt and, throw it at him? Because that's the way we've been taught, that he's the arch enemy of the Most High. That's been implied. It's also been implied that of his own volition, 1/3 of heaven sided with the adversary. This is what we've been taught. This is what has been implied. Book of Job kind of pulls back the curtain a little bit, and it's relevant to today. You see, a lot of us have had, Lord knows, and thank you, we haven't had what happened to Job happen to us, but we've had snippets of it. We've had some stuff happen in our lives that's just stinks. We've had stuff happen and make you look up at the sky and say, what was that for? What do you do? Well, you all wouldn't say that. But I'm full of a lot of questions. I mean, some things just, to us, just flat don't make sense. And I can imagine, we read earlier, Job was living large. And a lot of us sometimes, and people that may not be in the ark of safety, a lot of times if they see a believer and they'll say, oh man, yeah, I guess you do serve him. I mean, you live on Sugar Hill and you got 2-3 vehicles, you got a summer home. Every time I see you, you got something like, I guess you would serve God. Look like everything you touch turned to gold. But see, they don't know the background behind how you got where you got. Now, some are born into that kind of life, but a lot of us weren't. And a lot of people got a lot of nice things, but they worked for it. They made wise decisions to get it. They implemented what we call, which is a bad word nowadays, delayed gratification. In this society, we want everything instant, can't wait for nothing. You tell somebody wait, they say wait broke the wagon. You know, it said in the scripture earlier, it said that Job was a righteous man, and that he shunned evil wherever he could. And he was about one of the richest men in the East. In the East. But then when you think about how the Most High talked about it, Most High was like, it's almost like, hey, that's my number one guy right now. And, you know, see, a lot of times in life, saints, sometimes, you know, you're blessed and you have children. And, you know, most parents want their kids, their hope is that their kids will do better than they did. Most of them. Most prudent parents want better for their kids. Most prudent parents. And, you know, usually when they come to the children, most of society would say, well, the mother knows the children. And, you know, probably most of society would say, well, that's right. Because, of course, she bore them. No argument there. But something was pointed out about Job. It says, in all of his finery, in all of his fine living, he would offer up sacrifice to the Most High on behalf of his children. And you know, he said, in the event my kids who came up in all this finery, all they did, you know, that's just like, you know, somebody that's really handsome or somebody that's really gorgeous, you taking credit because you look good. You don't get any credit for that. Thank your parents. And here's another thing. You're not the only one. You're one of a million, guy or girl. So stop tripping. Job knew this about his kids. He had 10, and they would throw feasts and parties in their homes. And see, again, a prudent parent does want better for their children, but they also want their children to understand everybody don't live like this. And you know, it would help all of us if you have a situation where your life has just been so blessed and everything is working right. You got a nice white picket fence, 2.5 children. Everything's just wonderful. And I'm not knocking that. I hope you do have that. But don't forget, everybody don't live like that. Are you saying, Barry, I shouldn't give thanks to? No, I'm not saying that. But a lot of times, people get caught up in their little, I like to call it Alice in Wonderland existence. And then when reality visits, they fall apart like a $3 suit. All of this is tied in with Job. Job teaches a whole lot more than what we have gleaned from it, from the preaching and teaching and all the other stuff. Job speaks to us today. Another day came when the sons of God came to serve Yah. And among them came the adversary to serve Yah. Yah asked the adversary, "Where are you coming from?" The adversary answered, "From roaming through the earth, wandering here and there." Yah asked the adversary, "Did you notice my servant Job? And there's no one like him on earth, a blameless and upright man who fears me and shuns evil, and he still holds on to his integrity, even though you," the Most High is talking to Hasatan, y'all. Now listen at what was written. I'm going to read it. And he still holds on to his integrity, even though you provoke me against him to destroy him for no reason. But Brad, don't you know the devil can do what he want to do? He's the arch enemy of God. That's a lie. We need to stop thinking that way. We need to find all those tapes and CDs and all the seminars. We flew half around the country going to see these people, buying their books and tapes. Let me read that again, because there's a lot in that. Wake up. Did you notice my servant Job, that there's no one like him on earth, a blameless and upright man who fears me and shuns evil, and that he still holds on to his integrity? Let me tell you something, folks. You can have all of whatever you got behind your name, in front of your name, beside your name. If you ain't got integrity, you ain't worth a fart. F-A-R-T. That's not a bad word. There are too many people that consider themselves prominent, have very little integrity. Integrity is what shows up when all hell breaks loose. Anybody can be a gracious winner in fair weather. Anybody can stand up and say the right thing and do the right thing in fair weather. When you get hit in the back of the head with a 2x4 and can keep your integrity, you got integrity. Even if you cry, even if you say ouch, and you should say ouch because it hurts like the dickens. Doesn't make you any less. Even though you provoked me against him to destroy him for no reason. The adversary answered, if you reach out your hand and touch his flesh and bone, without doubt, he'll curse you to your face. Now, that's the second time homeboy done come out his mouth like that. And so some of you would say, well, see, Barry, that my pastor taught me that. He talking back, he talking smack. He talked smack because he was allowed to talk smack. You know, a lot of people like to say, well, you know, I'm a warrior. You know, some people call themselves a prayer warrior. Some people call themselves a spiritual this and I'm a spiritual giant. And I have always said, and I don't knock any of that, but I've always cautioned people, be careful, because different realms have different laws. And sometimes we are rushing into battle with a butter knife. And they got a howitzer. And we talking about we going to do war. I'm like, well, when you go, let me know when you're going, because I'm going the other way. You're going to get yourself and somebody else annihilated. This is nothing to play with. The book of Job is talking about life on earth and life in the spirit. Keep listening. Skin for skin. A person will give up everything he has to save his life. But if you reach out your hand and touch the flesh and bone, without doubt, he'll curse you to your face. Yah said to the adversary, here, he is in your hands. Let me say that, let me read that again. Here, he is in your hands. Here, he is in your hands, except that you are to spare his life. Now, we know what had happened. All that bad news had come to the man. All his possessions were gone. His children, who he loved. And he remembered something about his youth. Because see, maybe he wasn't always the pride of the Most High. I don't know. But for him to offer up sacrifice on account of his children may have cursed God in all their fine linen living. I said something about grandkids a ways back, and they are precious. Hold your rocks. But sometimes, saints, we do too much. And no, I'm not saying don't. Because, if I had them, I know I would spoil them rotten too. But I would hope that I would have a conversation with them. And in fact, I'm going to say something to you all right now. If you are blessed to have grandchildren, your children are probably already kind of looking at you side-eyed because the stuff you let your grandchildren get away with, you wouldn't let your kids get away with. But here's what I want you to do. While you're being sweet and kind and they just think you're the best thing since sliced bread, and you are, in a way that they can understand. When you give them something nice, talk to them about some of the things you had to go through. Let them know that it's not just that easy as grandma reaching in her purse or grandpa pulling out his wallet. There's a whole lot of transactions that went on. Well, they kids, they listen in a way that they can understand. See, because all of us are going to be leaving here one day. And I don't know about you, but I've done a whole lot of thinking and a whole lot of looking. And I'm saying, I've lived my life a certain way and I've been doing some things and I'm sure that everybody that has graduated are not concerned about what's happening here now. However, before they left here, they may have said, well, of all my kids and all my kin, who has integrity? Oh, that's kind of strong, Barry. I don't think like that. Okay, well, then continue on like you do. I'm telling you, some people have had that conversation. And I hope that you've had a chance to have a conversation like that with your parents or grandparents to where you understand, yes, they love you and they think you're the apple of their eye. Your seed of my seed. That means something. And it's more to it than, grandpa, grandma, mom, and dad can get me the latest, greatest, whatever. Because, see, if we just continue to keep doing real nice things, and it's nothing wrong with that, but you don't want to spoil them rotten. You want to spoil them, but you don't want to spoil them rotten. I'll tell you, nothing can be more disappointing when you realize they don't get it. They're happy their last name is your name because of some stuff. Not because they got integrity like you got integrity. When you start looking at life that way, whoa, wait a minute, hold it, let me get the wheel out, let me might have to make a few changes. Man, have you gone off your rocker? No. All that in Job. And see, unfortunately, in the state of Virginia, if you don't leave a will, state of Virginia gets involved. And the state of Virginia is whack. Barry Green said that. Man, you sure get a lot out of. I know. Just keep listening. The adversary answered, skin for skin, a person will give up everything he has to save his life. But if you reach out your hand and touch his flesh and bone, without a doubt, he'll curse you to your face. And then the Most High said, here, he's in your hands, except that you are to spare his life. See, again, no surprises to the Most High, surprises to us. Because he doesn't check in with us before he do stuff. Now, I know some people would have you think that he does with them. No, he don't. They are deluding themselves. He runs things how he want to run them. Then it says, then the adversary went out from the presence of Yah and struck Job down with horrible infected sores from the sole of his foot to the crowns of his head. He took a piece of broken pot to scratch himself, sat down in a pile of ashes. His wife asked him, His wife asked him this, why do you still hold on to your integrity? Curse God and die. But he answered her, you're talking like a low-class woman. Are we to receive the good at God's hand but reject the bad? Let me read that question again. Are we to receive the good at God's hands but reject the bad? In all this, Job did not say one sinful word. Now, when Job's 3 friends heard of all the calamities that had overwhelmed him, they all came. Each came from his own home. Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. They had agreed to meet together in order to come and offer him sympathy and comfort. And that's what I was talking about earlier. See, they really were good friends of Job. They really were. Now, when the conversation started, it may not sound like it. But see, a real friendship can have some kind of salty conversation sometimes. And I'm going to tell you something. Sound like back in the day when we used to make fun of people in the glossolalia, humma. Can you really trust somebody that always agrees with you? Don't answer, please. Don't answer. Just think about that. Just think about that. I'll speak for myself. It will make me a little uneasy. I don't know if I can trust somebody like that. I just speak for myself. I, you, you know, now, I'm not saying that you got to pick a fight with your best friend. But I'm saying if it's a real friendship, it can stand a little difference of opinion. Any marriage can stand a difference of opinion. Oh, no, I wasn't looking at anybody. I was just, please. I'm looking up. I'm not trying to start a fight. Okay, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on. Uh, you, you know, a real friend will answer you truthfully, even if they know you really want them to agree with you. Let me say that again. A real friend will answer you truthfully, even if they know you really want them to agree with you. And sometimes they just, bro, I can't back you on that one. You know, what? Well, no, this ain't about how many ball games we went to. This ain't about the time we did dirt together and got away with it. You know, no, bruh, I got to tell you the truth. And we could use one or two really good friends in life. Every one of us in here, even those of us that don't think so. Yeah, you can. Because life serve up some stuff. You know, athletes, celebrities, well, even some politicians. You know, a lot of times in their heart of hearts, most people want to know that you like them for them, not for what skills they possess, not for the size of their wallet or how well they dress or how they look. People want to know that you are a friend to them for them. And so if you got a name or a reputation or something, everybody, man, it's so good to see you. Man, can I buy you a steak dinner? You know? I mean, people are, sometimes if people are too nice to you, do you feel a little uneasy? Do you feel like, wait a minute, what is all of this? I mean, if we did that to one another, if Greg here today, I remember one time it was after church, and I say, come on, Greg, come on. Let's go get something to eat. I'm going to buy you a sandwich. Greg said, you ain't going to buy me no sandwich. I'm going to buy you a sandwich. I said, okay. So we went to Fiesta Chicken. I think that's where we went. But say No, Millie would believe it. Say I walked up to somebody because I try to talk to everybody as best I can. But no, perfect example. You know, Reggie had a situation, and I was like, man, you know, I kept worrying him about it, and I said, you know, well, long story short, I used to buy these, I like Ritz crackers. And because I like Ritz crackers, I thought everybody liked Ritz crackers. So I was buying Ritz crackers and bringing them to Reggie. And he was gracious. He would accept them and all. And I'm thinking, man, well, you know, hey, you know, do what you do, but don't do that on an empty stomach, man. You gotta, you know, this will travel. This travel with you, you know, because I keep them all the time, you know. And then finally, I think one day, Reggie had a field. I don't know if I had another box, and he was like, no. So he finally said, look. He said, look, I appreciate it. But the long and short of it is, he really didn't like the crackers. But it didn't hurt my feelings. It really didn't. But I assumed because I liked them, who wouldn't like them? Well, Reggie don't care for them. So I stopped forcing them on him. And I didn't realize that, you know, I just wanted to make sure he was taking care of himself. That's all. But, you know, even in that, folks, we got to learn how to back up a little bit. And he was just telling me, hey, look, Barry, just, you know, back up a little bit. Bro, you bum rushing me with all these crackers. It's got to stop. But, and so I you know, it stopped. But see, I kind of like that because, see, that's where we got to get with one another. Okay, maybe, you know, we might go out for dinner or something, and that might be the only time we go out to dinner. But don't read nothing into it. Maybe they don't want to go to dinner all the time. The relationship can stand it. See, let's get back to Job, but see, all of that's in this because his three friends came in, and let me set the stage. It says, now when Job's friends heard of all the calamities that had overwhelmed him, they all came. Each came from his own home. And then listen to this. They had agreed to meet together in order to come offer him sympathy and comfort. Now, see, that's a real friend. Sympathy and comfort. And see, sometimes, man, when I mean, you know, and that's something, now, all of us are different. If I'm in the hospital and I'm all jacked up, don't come see me. I'm going to tell you why. I ain't going to brush my teeth. I ain't going to comb my hair. I ain't going to brush my beard. I don't feel like answering the same question over and over and over and over again. I'm just speaking for myself. Now, other people might say, come see about me. Who sang that? The Supremes? See that? I know something. See, but some people are different. Some people, everybody come see me. And some of y'all come 3 times. And if you ever done me wrong, you got to come forward. Everybody's different. Same thing with phone calls. We mean well, but we bombard people. Listen. Sometimes when tragedy befalls, the best thing you can do is just kind of back off them. Because, we all think as believers, I got to. And no. Do a quick inventory. What's my relationship with this person? What is my, and now Job had more than 3 friends, but these 3, they must have been real close. See, because bad news travel fast. Oh, man. See, because a lot of the people that like Job, some of them like Job because Job was living large. Some of them like Job for what they could get out of Job. I'm not talking about these 3 friends. I'm talking about the fact that Job was popular in his day because he had plenty. But everybody that said they liked Job maybe didn't like Job. Some people probably were envious of Job. Some believers probably said, well, why God bless him so much? These 3 came. I'm down to 15 minutes. They had agreed to meet together in order to come and offer him sympathy and comfort. When they saw him from a distance, they couldn't even recognize him. I tell you, man, when life wallop you, it can put you on your knees for a little while. I can honestly say, within the last couple of months, I'm just now starting to come back around to where life is good. And I understand other people have to turn the page. I understand that. But again, like I talked about earlier, everybody can't turn the page as fast as you can. And there is no timetable for a person turning the page. That's not your decision for somebody else's life. When they gonna get over this? That's up to them. That's between them and their maker. You ready to get your schedule back on track. Well, get your schedule back on track. But leave that person alone. Well, I think we ought to be doing this. Well, I think you ought to shut up. Right now, I don't care what you think. Woo! Now we're gonna follow this a little bit. Now this is something that all of us can glean something from. Listen at here. Listen. When they saw him from a distance, they couldn't even recognize him. They wept aloud, tore their coats, threw dust over their heads toward heaven. Here's the part. Because, see, we all do what I just read. Then they sat down with him on the ground. Listen to this. For 7 days and 7 nights, no one spoke a word to him because they saw how much he was suffering. Now, how many of us go rushing in with our Bible, want to read a bunch of scriptures to somebody? That's not the time. Sometimes all you got to do, if you make eye contact with the person, just put your hand over your heart. That's telling them, bruh, sis, I feel for you. We don't always have to go rushing in. We're not the balm in Gilead. And see, now I know we've been taught when, somebody's sick, you go and see them, and then you take a little bit of the sickness away from them. I remember that. I remember all of that. But I still meant what I said. Hopefully I won't ever have to be in the hospital like that. Because everybody doesn't want that. Everybody's not comfortable with that. Particularly if you don't have a real relationship with the person. And see, you get those by being around the person, not just coming to church and seeing them. When I was living in Texas, it was a very diverse congregation, very diverse. But a lot of us begin to realize, some of the ushers, that other than coming to church and serving ushering, we really didn't know each other. But I got to know gentleman Mike Helms. He was a Methodist minister, I guess is what they call him. But he would come to where I was going. And I would go to rest homes with him. And I would do praise and worship, believe it or not. And then he would teach. And then when he couldn't go, I started going. But I'm saying this for a reason. He and I guess we took a liking to each other. And he invited me to his home, and I invited him to mine. And, over the years, we got to where we were really, really pretty good. And he even said, man, we see all of these people. And in a church setting, it does look good when you see a diverse group of people, and it appears everybody loves everybody. Did you notice how I said that? It appears. Among some of the brothers, they wanted to get together in a park, have a cookout. And the word kind of spread around among the brothers. And word got back to the pastor. Now, mind you, I'm quite sure other groups of people had cookouts. Somebody on staff that looked like me didn't think that was a good idea. So they went to the pastor about that, and he nixed it. Nothing more was said about it, and the event did not take place. But what it did do, it began to make us start questioning, wait a minute. We come here every Wednesday night, and back then, Sundays. And they used to meet 3 times on Sunday, so I was a captain, had to be there. And, we weren't, we didn't know who, we didn't understand why that was a problem. Because we were just trying to get to know one another, like other groups of folk did. Well, Mike and I, we continued our friendship, and and I'm not, none of the people probably didn't leave the church, but we did think that was odd. Now, when they had a church thing, of course everybody could come, but what caused some hard feelings was because of the fact we knew of a certainty that other groups had met. Now, this was going on back in the day when I was of a certain mindset, and I thought everybody was my brother. I don't think that way anymore. And I'm not saying anything racial. I'm not. But these last few years have really made me look at a lot of things again, and a lot of people again. And I just want to be careful the balance of my days. Saints, we all need real friends. 4 minutes. And we're going to take our time. We're going to go through this thing because this thing is full of stuff. It says, they sat down with him on the ground for 7 days and 7 nights. No one spoke a word to him because they saw how much he was suffering. Then it says, at length, Job broke the silence and cursed the day of his birth. I'm going to stop there. Say he cursed the day of his birth. Now, they didn't mean curse like we do today. Yeah, no, he didn't start turning the air blue. But I mean, man, when you and, I remember my mom was doing a teaching and she said something and it stuck with me. The Most High tries to get our attention. And when we just going to be hard-headed He know how to get our attention, and that word is agony. When you in agony, that'll bring you around. Agony can humble you. And that's why Job was feeling mighty, mighty poorly. And can you imagine the magnitude? You lose 10 children. Most of your possessions. The love of your life asks you, what are you holding on your integrity for? Because now, in fairness to her, and I know some people think, oh, he couldn't wait to get to that part just to make a woman look bad. No, that's not true. Well, not all the way true. I did get a little bit. When I saw that, I was like, oh, here we go. And I wish the place was full of women. But it wasn't, but that's all right. But you know, seriously, if you've ever had, and you all have had them, we all have had some low moments. So much so where you start, what is this all about? What am I to glean from this? You know, and in my case, I'm like, I thought we had a deal. And that's another thing, you know, most of us have made some deals, but I got a question for you. You don't have to answer, just think about it. When you laid out all of what you was going to do, did he sign off on it? I'm not asking you to answer. I'm just asking the question. Or did we just, like we pray sometimes, just spout off our list of stuff? I know he heard it. Yeah, he did. But the question is, did he say, all right, son, all right, daughter? Or was your voice the only voice you heard? And I'm saying that to say, I don't know, maybe he did make a deal. But maybe he didn't. Maybe he just let me say what I had to say. And he might have said, well, we'll see. Or he probably said, you'll see. Job's friends came. They knew he was hurt. I'm closing, Reg. They knew he was hurting. They tore their clothes. They threw dust, in the air. And they cried with their brother. But they didn't say anything to him right away. And sometimes, if your eyes just meet, your eyes can tell it all. We don't have to go in with our Bibles rushing in like we're going to make the whole situation better. Sometimes it's just best to just, hey, I had a guy, I know him pretty good, but we're more acquaintances. But I knew where he was coming from. When he saw me, he said, look, man, I don't have the words. That's all he had to say. I knew what he meant. He just said, man, I don't have the words. I said, thank you, man. That was a real moment. See, he didn't try to come like we bosom buddies because we weren't that. And I would have felt really odd, awkward, trying to respond like we that close and we ain't that close. So he was honest, and he said, I don't have the words. And I understood that. The next time I have the privilege of coming before you, we're going to continue. Because this thing with Job, a lot of that stuff is happening today with a lot of people. Now, I don't mean in terms of, my goodness, somebody losing all their children and no, but calamity is everywhere. Calamity is everywhere. And hopefully we'll begin to glean a way to navigate through some of this calamity. God bless you.